he's able to put up some heroic performance tonight, where is that going to go down in Steph Curry performances over his career?
I think it's going to be the second best. To me, the first time they had this opportunity, 2015, to me, the way the Celtics look now was the way they looked then. He hadn't done it before, hadn't won a championship before. Everything was new. You still had to get over that hump and win a title. So to me, this is the second toughest challenge. Getting that first ring was the most difficult.
Perk?
I think if Steph could come into the Garden tonight and have an epic performance, then he's putting another, he's adding another accolade to his legacy. Like, I just mentioned LeBron, I just mentioned Jimmy Butler, I just mentioned Michael Jordan. Like, if Steph could come into the Garden, into a hostile environment, and give him a 50-piece wing dinner, all flats, fried hard, then guess what? You know what? We're going to remember this moment forever.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, this is, if you start to rank the talent of the 6 finals teams that the Warriors have been a part of in this stretch, this is probably the 6th best team. Yeah. They have the most efficiencies. Yeah, they have the veteran leadership. They have the experience. But to me, this might be the first time that the Warriors have shown up in the NBA Finals, and I know it was really close, that they weren't a favorite or a heavy favorite. So that means they're coming in here pretty much on even ground, having to prove that they can win this championship without being the dominant team walking in.
Tonight, and beating this Celtics team potentially 3 out of 4 times to win the title is one of the biggest, if not the biggest challenge Steph Curry has ever faced. Think about it. 2015, Cavs were crippled by injuries. 2016 Thunder and 2016 Cavs, those were big challenges, the last of which you guys beat them. After that, the Durant teams were kind of unbeatable until they got injured. So this is look, his legacy, all this, that's all set. But as far as you're just telling me the magnitude of the challenge, beating this team 3 more times in a short span is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, he's faced since your team in 2016.
Well, and it all gets started tonight. We get to watch it go down. Game 4, Mark Spears, thank you so much for joining us here on NBA Today. You mentioned Michael Jordan, right? And LeBron?
MJ?
Yeah.
Okay, well, still to come. TD Garden is going to be electric as Game 4 of the NBA Finals gets underway here in Boston. I cannot wait. There has been plenty of talk so far about Game 4. We have plenty more to go, but I do want to take just 1 second and look back a little bit, because ESPN's Kevin Pelton released a list of all-time Finals Game 4 teams, right? These are the best single performances by a player at each position in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
let's do it.
We're going to start at point.
Ooh.
It's got to be Magic.
Yes.
Broke my dad's heart.
1987.
I must have never liked your dad.
Trailing the Celtics by 1. Look at this.
Look at that.
I mean, he delivered the winning shot on what he famously referred to after the game as my junior skyhook.
Yeah,
Finished with 29, 8, and 5.
I remember this. Oh.
Michael Jordan.
Danny Ainge didn't ask for that.
55 points.
This hurt my heart a little bit, being a Phoenix kid. Not that I was a huge Phoenix fan. It was just more of like, I saw all of my best friends just be crumbled watching MJ just dominate them.
Well, it was the second highest scoring Finals game all time. And then small forward, Kawhi Leonard, reversing the Warriors' usual dominance after halftime. He had 17 in the third quarter alone, 36 points, 12 rebounds, 4 steals. The claw was everywhere.
And just walked off.
He had an MJ. He had an MJ run.
I know, he doesn't even crack a smile. All right, let's go ahead to power forward then. We're going all the way back to 1993. In a losing effort, Charles Barkley, he posted a triple-double, accounted for over half of the Suns' total field goals.
Telling you, Chuck was just different, man.
2 in the same game. Game 4.
32 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. It was in a loss. It does not take away from the performance. And then manning the middle, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, it's 1974. Kareem went 34 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. He had at least 34, 10, and 5 in 4 times during the 7-game series against Boston. So, I mean, those are some
pretty damn good Game 4s. Yeah.
Perk, did you have any?
No, I didn't. But this is not an individual sport, but my team did in 2008. Run the footage.
Yeah,
run the footage. In 2008, we were on the road, and I actually started it. I started it right here. That started the run right here. We were down 20+ throughout the whole game, and we came back and walked it down. Ooh. I mean, one of the greatest comebacks, Game 4 history.
How many points did you have in that?
I had 2 points, but I had 1,500 claps. Again, it's a team sport and not an individual sport.
Zach, any adjustments to the Game 4 starting 5.
And you set some monster picks, too. No adjustments to the game. First of all, the correct answer is Michael is the greatest of all those game fours.
Yeah,
55.
absolutely.
I want to give a little love. He couldn't crack the shooting guard starting spot, but Kobe Bean Bryant, game 4 of the 2000 finals on a bum ankle with Shaq fouled out in a 2-1 series, goes for 28 on 14 of 17, 8 points in overtime to ice the game with Shaq on the bench in a pivotal game 4 after he missed game 3 due to an ankle injury. So give Kobe some love.
I start doing the pump the brakes. Malika's looking at me crazy. I'm like, watch, you're about to see Kobe hit the shot. That was the famous, I got y'all, everybody relax.
And then
that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay. I was like, you're flailing your arms around like,
just like,
like a crazy
that brings me back. I was watching that. I was actually a Laker fan before the next year we lost.
How many teams were you a fan of? A Phoenix fan? A Lakers fan?
I was born in LA. I grew up in
Can
Phoenix.
everyone hear the Let's Go Celtics is already breaking out?
I think it's saying Let's Go Perkins.
I don't think.
Yeah, it is. I think it's saying Let's Go Perkins. Look at it.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, you see that?
Perkins eating this up.
That's what I'm talking about.
From the balcony, like the Pope from the balcony.
All right, well, Perk, the answer to this can't be yourself. Who has the best chance of cracking that all-time Game 4 performance list tonight?
Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Jason Tatum. This is the moment for Jason Tatum right now. He hasn't had that standout, I'm the best player on the floor moment in this series. The conversation has either been Steph or the conversation has been Jaylen Brown. I don't care about Jason Tatum going out there and getting 25 or 30. I want to see one of them 40 pieces tonight. And I think he has it in him. I think he's going to perform well tonight. And I think he's going to do it in great fashion with Deuce on the sideline, cheering him on.
Rich?
I don't think anybody has a chance to join that list.
I'm being a Debbie Downer.
I'm not being a Debbie Downer. I just looked at that list of Kareem, Charles Barkley, MJ, and I'm just like, you know what?
Steph Curry's playing in the game, right?
I don't think anybody has a chance. We'll see if I'm wrong. We'll see on Monday.
So you're telling me this game is going to have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jason Tatum, and Jeremiah. No one has a chance of having like a 30-point, 10-rebound game.
Let me just say this. I'm not necessarily don't have a chance. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think.
Well, what a bold prediction. The greatest Game 4 in the history of basketball won't happen tonight. We're just asking if there's a chance.
It could. The greatest Game 4 in the history of basketball could happen tonight.
I'm going off the beaten path. I want to give Jaylen Brown some love because I think Jaylen Brown has been the Celtics' steadiest player so far in this series, and he could have a monster game too. He's been this sort of quiet, steady leader as Tatum's been a little up and down. Smart's been a lot up and down. Jaylen Brown's had a really great series. Maybe he goes for 35 tonight and cracks the list.
Well, and Jaylen Brown has been steadily marching up the list of Finals MVP odds. So,
there you go.
Maybe tonight could be the night that's something that's.
What a downer!
Got to have a big Game 4. Look, got to have a big Game 4. I like a good Game 4.
Well, we're going to see a good Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight.
I'm aggressive offensively, so I have to be that for this team. I've always prided myself on giving the team what it needs in order to win, and I think this team will need more of that for us to win, so I have to be better on that side for sure. I'm always going to do whatever I can for my teammates. I think that's just my MO. That's who I've always been. In saying that doesn't excuse my play, and how poorly I played last night. But, I'll continue to be that guy no matter what. I try not to get caught up in all the stuff that happens around me or that for that matter. But I've always been that guy, and that won't change now.
All right, interesting comments. Perk, just chill for 1 second. What more does Draymond need to do in this series, Zach?
Well, he said it. He has to be a threat offensively, and he's not a threat offensively at all. Look, the jumper is broken. The jumper's not coming back. They're going to let him shoot jumpers. That's over. But his total shots are down. His free throw. This is a guy who used to average 12, 13, 11 points a game in the playoffs. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't get to the line, and his assists are down. That is a non-entity, frankly, and a lot of credit for that has to go to the Celtics. I don't really know how they're going to unlock Draymond Green offensively unless the Celtics give them a ton of turnovers and either taking away all the Draymond stuff. That said, whether it's in transition, keepers, the quarterback keeper he likes to do, he's just got to be a threat, and he has not been a threat at all this series.
Richard, just move out of the way.
No, you don't have to. You can stay right there. Here's the thing. I said this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said the Warriors are at their best when Draymond Green is aggressive offensively. Okay, then all of a sudden he comes in the media and attacks me, calls me a big ogre, and we have our back and forth. I don't need any sympathy, man. I'm standing up there. So he attacks me and then come back and all of a sudden says, oh, yeah, we're a lot better if I'm aggressive offensively. Well, he's going to have to be. He's going to have to take those shots. He's going to, like, he missed his first corner three-point shot in that game. Early in the game, I said, you know what? He's not going to even look to shoot no more. And he didn't. So it comes a time where we're getting late into the series, and Steve Kerr is going to have to make a decision. If Draymond Green is not going to be aggressive and keep the defense honest, because that's what the Celtics make you do, they're going to make others beat you. Yes, Steph Curry is going to be him. Klay Thompson is going to be him at times, but Jordan Poole hasn't been there. So you might have to ride with a Kuminga at times to keep the defense honest. And I get it. People want to say he's a future Hall of Famer. He's this, that, and the O. But right now he's not cutting the mustard. So you have to figure out what can you do.
Oh, yeah, the cut and mustard.
Can you cut mustard?
I don't know what he's doing. But I agree with Perk. I agree with Zach. I played against Draymond in a Game 7 where, he was – a shot or two away from being
7 threes.
Yeah, from final. So, and again, I understand when they got Kevin Durant, he went to pure facilitator. He went to like boom, boom, boom. I'll take a shot when I get a shot, but I've got so much talent around me. And I think now that this team has kind of gotten back with Klay, he's trying to be that same facilitator. It's like, no, if you're going to talk about this team, and they've referenced the 15 and 16, that was their model for this year, 15 and 16. Draymond was more aggressive in 15 and 16 during those championship runs, especially on the offensive end. So that's what they need from him, is to go back 15, 16 Draymond. That's the firepower. That's what you need. You don't need 20 points. You need 10, 12 points, 15 points on a good night where it's timely.
It's easy for us to sit up here and say he's got to shoot more. But what shots do you want him taking? If it's threes, that's a loss for the Warriors. Unless it's in transition where the Warriors really thrive, that's one thing. In the half court, what shots are there that he's not taking? That's the difficult part, because the Celtics defense is so good. They're taking away everything he does. And I'm not sure that Draymond Green just throwing himself at the basket for the sake of doing it is going to help the Warriors. And I'm not sure what else he's supposed to do against this half-court defense. And I do, by the way, expect him to throw himself at the basket just like he threw himself at the whole Celtics team in Game 2. I think part of what's happening is Draymond is getting older. He's maybe 5%, 10% less athletic than he used to be, and those layups that used to go in aren't going in anymore.
And that's my point on why you have to go to Kuminga. I'm not saying you have to start him, but if he's going to be a threat and keep the defense honest, and if he's going to bring more to the table.
No, he's not, bro. He's not.
How? I mean,
look, I understand, because you understand what. Look, we can't just go game by game. We have to look at it a whole. And look at what Draymond Green did in Game 2.
He really didn't do nothing besides tackling a whole lot of people that they let him get away with, but he didn't do it against Scott Foster.
Well, listen, I understand that, like, you get a ring when the Celtics win, but we're going to talk about basketball from a broad perspective now.
I don't get a ring.
It's a joke, Zach.
Go ahead. But go ahead.
In Game 2, he was very effective. He did a ton of stuff to help facilitate their team. That's what he has to do here. So we should just not play the game, or Draymond? You're going to say they should play the young player Kuminga. That is wrong. You know that that's not the case. That's not what they're going to do, so we shouldn't even freaking suggest it.
No, but I also saw that when Draymond got in foul trouble, I also saw last series when they played against the Mavericks that Looney actually did a better job than Draymond when he was in there facilitating.
That's not Kuminga.
Okay, but still and all, I'm not saying start Kuminga. I'm saying you could play him in spot minutes. Listen, the Boston Celtics team has nothing but athleticism across the board. Who is the most athletic person on the Warriors outside of Andrew Wiggins? It is Jonathan Kuminga. Why not give him an opportunity? You're getting nothing from Draymond at this point. Like yesterday, he was more of a liability than he was an asset.
That is true, but I do think that at this point, with what Steve Kerr has seen from this group, he's going to give Draymond Green the benefit of the doubt and continue to help him. But we're going to see it all come to fruition. All right, so Celtics big three, they stepped up in a big way in Game 3. Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, they were the first trio of teammates to all post 25 and 5 in a finals game since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Michael Cooper did that in 1984. So I caught up with Smart earlier today after Boston's practice. Here with Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. Do you ever get tired of being introduced as Defensive Player of the Year?
Not at all. I love every last bit of it. You know, I worked hard to get that award and get the recognition, so I need it all.
All right, so every question. Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. You have defended Steph Curry a whole lot in this series. Can you just walk me through? I know you've touched on it before. The trials, the triumph, the effort, the exhaustion that it takes to go up against a player like him night in and night out.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, you really got to get your rest. You got to be well conditioned because he's going to make you pay if you're not. And we all see what he can do. And if you're not ready for it, he'll chew you up and spit you out. So, you know, you got to be ready. You got to be ready for anything. You got to be ready for anything that they throw at you at any given time. You know, because when you fall asleep or you think that he's not done or that he's done moving or the play isn't for him, and that's when he's gone. So you really got to be on your P's and Q's with him. And if you're not, then you're in trouble.
You have had the challenge of guarding players like Steph, players like Giannis. You all have had an incredibly difficult run up until getting to this point. Who's the most difficult player to guard?
Oh, man. Right now, it probably is Steph, you know, just because of the way he affects the game. You know, he can score on every level on the court and in some levels that we didn't even know existed. So he definitely poses a challenge for us that most teams don't. You know, the way that, like I said, he spaces the floor and he makes his teammates better and he makes the right play every single time. And if you're not ready and you're not down and you don't got your matchups ready, it's going to be trouble for you. And when you got a player like that, it takes full team effort, and that's what we're just trying to be doing every night.
Your coach, Ime Udoka, said last night that you all have done a wonderful job of responding in losses. What you need to do now is string together a win after a loss. How do you bottle that up and have that come to fruition in Game 4?
You take what you did in Game 3. You know, after Game 2, we had a plan coming into Game 3. We stuck with the plan, and, you know, we came out with the victory. So you take the things that we've done great in that, things that we haven't done great, you learn from it, you adjust accordingly, you move on. That's it. It's nothing else more. We all know each other plays. They know ours, we know theirs. X's and O's is out the question. It's just about going to executing whatever it is that you're in.
Since X's and O's are out of the question at this point, I mean, how can you top the performance you had, not on the court, but your post-game outfit last night in Game 4?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. You got to come up with something different. You know, I got a lot of outfits that I haven't worn, that I have, that I've been preparing, and we'll see. We'll see. Keep it a surprise.
Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So according to odds makers, Smart, he has the fourth shortest odds to be Finals MVP, 30-1, in what's looking like a three-player race right now. Tatum is the favorite, followed by Steph, and then it is Jalen.
It's the kill shot. That's the Warriors shot. That's the shot you've seen a lot of times in your face. I love that he took it, not in your face, maybe literally. I'm sorry.
No, in his face.
But I felt after he made his first three, he started taking more Clay shots and less like 20-footers over Jalen Brown to get my rhythm shots. Clay's having a game in Boston. It's happening.
Cosign.
Are you looking at me? Oh,
yeah.
This was amazing, though, because Clay is just so special. And when I mean special, it's not just his skill set, it's his personality, it's his energy, it's his approach to the game. When you see this, and I'm going to say this, Clay is not in his prime. And it's not because his jump shot, it's just because he has spent 2 years off of basketball. So instead of Clay being the initiator, I think, in these series, and I think that's why in Game 1, 2 of each series, he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's going against new players, he's playing against an intense situation, and then he starts to figure it out as the series goes on. So I look for him to figure it out as the series goes on, because he did miss 2 years of basketball.
Well, and he's one that if he sees one go in early, you have to imagine that's all he needs for things to start clicking. Chiney, can the Warriors win with Clay play? Like, what percentage are we looking at here?
I think it's way more difficult if he's not knocking down shots. If he stays in that game 1 to 2 range versus games 3 to 7 range, yeah, it's going to be much harder. But I do like what you pointed out, Zach. Like, a lot of those are makeable shots. Yeah. Those are the ones that he should absolutely take, which that's what the Warriors want. And at the end of the day, if you're Boston, you still have to guard him while he takes those shots, which is fully respected. I think it's not even the shots. It's watch how he moves. He's moving extremely well. That pivot to the outside three, like, that's elite Clay. It just is that the shot shot didn't go down. And if it did go down, then maybe that's where those 2 years off. I know this because your girl just took 2 years off. It took me a while to get back.
She's back now.
We back now. But once you see a shot go down, it's like a breath of fresh air that just goes throughout your body. And now you can play a little bit more confidently instead of pressing. So he's going through this process, and you have to like really admire that he's doing this. And like he came back at a very difficult time, and he's still playing at a high level. Just as he has not made those shots, he will absolutely need to make them for them to have a better shot at winning. But I feel like that's like
but I feel like right now we just hoping. And guess who don't give a damn about Clay and him coming back from injuries and him finding his rhythm?
Let me guess.
The team on the other side, they don't care. And they're not going anywhere. And we still, to be honest,
The question was about Clay, bro.
Listen, relax. To be honest, we still haven't seen the best of the Boston Celtics far as on the defensive side. Like, we just seen them lock into people way better than what they have in this series thus far. And again, I know we hoping for a breakout Clay moment, but I just don't see it happening. The Boston Celtics are too athletic on the wing.
Seriously?
Yeah, I said what I said.
But
yes,
like,
yes, because
no team
because you want me.
Let him finish because I want to clip this.
No, you ain't
I
gonna
wanna
clip
clip
nothing.
this.
You ain't gonna clip nothing because here's the thing, right? We went through, again, I go back to the first round. We go back to a guy that's 7 foot in Kevin Durant. Everybody kept saying Kevin Durant is going to have a breakout game. Kevin Durant is going to turn the corner. Kevin Durant is not going to continue to struggle. And what happened in that series? Kevin Durant continued to struggle.
But
right?
Kevin Durant was the only one.
No, like Giannis had some great games in that. No, he had a few. He had some, but he had some other games where we started to question like.
Okay, Chiney, go ahead.
Also, in 2 games, we haven't seen per se the best of Jason Tatum either. So you can't just hold them to a standard of, well, we haven't seen the best defense from the Celtics. You haven't seen the best of Clay either.
Yeah, but we didn't bring up Jason Tatum. We just brought up Klay Thompson, and all I'm saying is that
So can the
Klay,
Warriors
I don't
win?
expect Klay Thompson to have an impact, and
So-
I don't
so
expect him to have one
You
of
don't
those.
expect Clay to have an impact over
I
the
don't
course of this
expect
entire
him
series.
to have a epic performance in this series.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't.
that we're gonna need to get clipped off because
Get your receipts. I keep mine.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you come on
Better
over
get
here?
yours.
All right, fine. Perk, since you want to talk about Boston, let's go over to the Boston side of things, right? If Clay raises the ceiling, 4 of us think at least for the Golden State Warriors.
4
4 of us. 4 of us think that.
Clay,
4 out of our
Clay's not
starting
gonna be
5.
happy with
I
you.
came into this world one deep.
Who do you think? Who do you think is that person who raises the ceiling for the Boston Celtics? Not Jason Tatum. We're putting him as the superstar of the team.
It's Marcus Smart. Like, I feel like, yeah, he had 18 in game 1, but he is the defensive player of the year.
Yep.
Right? And to be honest, I've been seeing, like, a lot of ducking out of him for his guarding Steph Curry. Like, you're the defensive player of the year. I need you to be on him. I saw more of Derek White guarding Steph Curry. Marcus Smart has to impose his will on this series. I think we all could agree that he's actually the 3rd best player on this team. Like, Al Horford didn't have his moments. Robert Williams didn't have his moments. When it comes down to actually saying who are the top 3 players on the Celtics, it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now, Steph Curry has been the best player in this series. And in order to stop the best player in this series, how about putting your defensive player of the year on him and Marcus Smart, and how about him rising to the occasion?
Go ahead.
Well, no, sometimes you're going to start that way, but that's one thing about the Warriors and why they oftentimes force you to play small. Their transition offense, you're just trying to match up with 5 people. That's all it is. And so there will be times if you're starting it off or if you're coming out of a timeout or if you're doing things. But even then, the Warriors offense, forces you to switch
So who
across
raises
the
the
board.
ceiling?
So, well, who raises the ceiling?
You just said they was doing a lot of high and pick and roll.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, who raises the ceiling for? To me, I'm going to say the others. Still, I keep being broad. I keep saying. I keep saying.
Boo him.
Yeah.
All
this
this
Boo his.
Boo
So,
this man.
Yeah, I'm going to Shanae.
Unfortunately, I did
That's
sort of
funny.
pick the guy that you said you can't pick, like Jason Tatum. So
All right.
Oh,
It's okay for Shanae.
Wait,
No, we're not booing in his.
Hold on, friends. I do want to say something about, Perk's point and Marcus Smart. The best defense you can have against the Warriors is exactly what the Celtics did game 1 in getting Steph in foul trouble. When Steph is in foul foul trouble, that's when the Warriors sort of are dismantled because he's the crux of everything that they do. So you're right. If he takes it personal, gets Steph in foul trouble, that's the best defense you can have against the Warriors because it pulls them off of the court. Now, yeah.
You just doubled on Perk's statement.
You agree?
You didn't even hear that. Can we listen to Zach? Zach has
I literally agreed with you.
So my mom calls Perk the angry guy with the beard who yells at you all the time. So Perk, right now, we have a moment of agreement. These are beautiful moments. The correct answer is Marcus Smart.
Thank you.
And it's not just because of his defense. You focus on his defense. I'm focusing on the other end. Look, Marcus Smart is not going to go 6 of 9 from 3. But when he goes like 3 of 7, 2 of 5, and limits his turnovers, the Celtics are really, really hard to beat. So I'm looking at that. And Perk, to your point, I think Derek White has guarded Steph Curry better than Marcus Smart. And one of the reasons Marcus Smart isn't guarding Steph Curry that much is when both teams go small, he's guarding Draymond Green a lot, and he's doing that really well. So I agree with you. It's Marcus Smart. Make a couple threes, take care of the ball. Celtics have a great chance to win.
That's the Zach I love.
There you go.
You know why I love this?
Everybody's a nice guy.
Why I love this segment is because it's everybody versus Richard, and that makes me truly
Because he picked everybody. His answer was everybody.
It's a cop-out answer, and that's why I love this. All right, so much more on NBA today, including of the NBA Finals in Boston. I am joined by an esteemed panel of senior writers, Adrian Wojnarowski, Brian Windhorst, and Zach Lowe. Don't worry, they're not cheering for you. Not for you, though. This is our Reporters Roundtable, and I want to start with something that you said that was interesting yesterday, Zach, on this show, which was that Boston's defense was built in a lab to defend these Golden State Warriors. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Boston drafted these players with the Warriors in mind. If not that specific Warriors team from 4 or 5 years ago, that looked like the future of basketball to them. And so we needed long wings who could switch and had high defensive IQs to do all the switching that you need to do against those Warriors teams and what looked like the future of the game. And if we go to the tape, they've proved it so far in this series. They defended pretty well. Look at all the switching that happens here. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, easy speasy. We switched that between Marcus Smart and Derek White, no problem. Enter the ball to Draymond. We've seen this a million times. Sometimes the key is not switching. If you could hear the audio on this, Marcus Smart says, stay on him. I want to be glued to Steph. Then he and Tatum switch again. Nothing doing. And Andrew Wiggins has to go one-on-one against a good mobile big man in Al Horford. That is perfect defense from, by the way, the best Celtics lineup so far in the playoffs, I think, has been when they go small and put Horford at the 5. That's the kind of thing the Celtics had in mind when they built this team.
Everything you said is right. So how come on the high pick and roll, which is the bread and butter play for the Warriors in this series, that they are not switching and instead are using very traditional old school drop coverage and giving Steph the room? It's the question everybody, all the coaches watching are asking.
Because if they do switch, Steph is going to dance and he's going to beat those guys off the dribble. The key to what you're saying is, I think I'm interested in Boston tonight. Do they really dramatically adjust and blitz him and switch? Or do they just say, no, we have the right coverage, the best coverage for Al Horford is that coverage you're talking about, but he just needs to be higher, a little bit higher. We need to do it a little bit better. I think their mistakes have more been about just like really bad, like this is just bad execution, and then he's going to roast Robert Williams. But I think it is an interesting question.
You know, I actually think that the Celtics probably aren't that disappointed with how Steph is playing so far. He's shooting 45%, which is good, but it's survivable because Clay is not playing, he's not shooting great. Wiggins isn't shooting great. It's just that the turnovers are leading to easy points. I think they'll live with Steph shooting 45%.
You have been covering the Celtics for 6 weeks now, so you've had a front row seat to this.
Yeah.
Woj, what did you see there?
Oh, no, go ahead to Brian.
All right, I get to go to Brian. I was like, oh, Woj is like, I'm here learning and looking, and yeah, that's what we're all doing.
I learned from this guy. So to me, I'm petitioning Tim Corrigan, who's the director of our game tonight, and next to the score.
All right, I do want to add a name to that list. I know this wasn't in the 80s and 90s, but Chiney Ogwumike, she has gotten have you seen the tech that she got recently? I was like, all right.
Can we show this?
So for that reason, I'm going to start with you.
She called me out of my name, and I had to just remind her, like, hey, sis, don't be doing that. All right? But it was all love afterward. That's a sisterhood of the WNBA. Yes, I probably lead my team in technicals and flagrants, but
That's fine.
It's fine. That's my role. Okay.
Yeah, respect.
When it comes
It's
to this
Draymond's role,
generational, it is. When it comes to this generational conversation about the physicality in the game, I think one thing that gets lost in the sauce is that this is actually by design. The NBA and the rule changes where you're not allowed to touch someone that is 20, 30 feet away from the rim. Honestly, the only place you can touch them is, near the paint. That increases the likelihood for people to shoot, and it's harder for guys like Draymond to be that guy. And so he embodies that old school mentality. So when I think about the rule changes, I also think about the analytics where we're forcing more shots instead of maybe low post play. This works to the detriment of the reputation of young guys that play currently. And so I know we want to say, oh, you are softer because you're in this current era, we were harder because we're from the past era. The reality is the rule change doesn't allow you to be both.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that J.J. Redick talked about on Get Up and First Take is that, hey, look, the players, like my era, I grew up watching. I was 15 years old, 16 years old in 96. So I'm watching this era of basketball. This is what I grew up in. So when I get drafted in 2001, I'm still playing against Karl Malone. I played against John Stockton. I played against Hakeem Olajuwon. So I played against David Robinson, the guys that were the legends in this area. And when I say that the NBA changed the rules, and then the NBA changed the rules because they wanted higher scoring, they wanted less physicality, they want a more beautiful game. And then all of a sudden the players of our era are the ones that are being criticized for it. And so when I hear some of that energy from Draymond, from JJ this morning, I basically hear that guys are like, hey, look, we're playing the game that the NBA wants us to play, right? Like guys aren't getting suspended and having to spend $1 million on fines. Before, you used to get a technical and you would keep playing. That's not what the NBA wants. But it feels like the players oftentimes get criticized for not being tough and not being, as physical as before.
Well, look, I'm not about to get into the errors and what's soft and what's not, but I think we need to address the point that we're talking about Cedric Maxwell and Draymond Green. Cedric Maxwell made a comment about Draymond Green saying that some of the things he was doing in Game 2, and you can go back and watch the film, he was tackling people, setting illegal screens. He did something to Grant Williams. I don't know what it was, but he could have injured the man. And all Cedric Maxwell said was, if you were in the 80s or 90s and you did that, you would have got swung on. And that's the facts. And it's not like it's coming from somebody who didn't do it. Cedric Maxwell was a finals MVP who was involved with a lot of, let's get into it. He had a lot of scuffles in his day, and he wasn't saying nothing that was out of body. He was actually speaking from experience. So we're blowing it up talking about the 80s, 90s soft. No, it was Cedric Maxwell making a comment and telling his story about what he lived, that he did. So I don't know why we diving into all the extra stuff.
Well, it's not diving into extra.
Yeah, it is.
It
is.
He
said what he said.
So what about Cousy?
He said, this ain't about Bob Cousy.
But what I'm saying is everyone's going to talk about their era. In my era, we would have done this. In my era, we would have done this. In my era,
he worked for the station, bro. He worked for the station.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter. Somebody asked him a question about if
today we saw some of the new generation players try to explain why certain circumstances are the way they are. Draymond, why physicality works for him, and other guys where physicality is not